No aggressive stepping towards David.
Yes, but David punched my friend. So.
9 out of 9 individual fitness.
He was going for you in the mix.
I know.
I'm skeptical.
But you can't do that to my golf cart.
All right. Who's ready to do a play? Woohoo! You're gonna need your iPads, people, so open those up. All right. Stay with me, please. We're gonna do a play, yes. So I need you to be quiet, please. Well, we'll have a chance to do that. So, all right. So what I want you to do right now, hey, shh. This is kind of the big major part, one of the big major parts of this unit. Okay, so I am going to go over this with you. So let's see if we go into ancient Greece. Okay, so you're going to need your iPads out for this, and I want you to go to the thing that says Antigone script. Okay, so get out your iPads, and I'll post some of these things too. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to Antigone's script, and I want you to open that up, and you can see it's just material, right? It's nothing to turn in here, right? And so you will see a script of a PDF. Okay, so it's Antigone's script in ancient Greece. And if you're having problems finding it, let me know. All right. But we're going to be following along with this right now. Okay. So there's a PDF of it, and you can open up that if you want to. And there's also a doc of it, the script. And I would say right now, open it up on something that you can write on. Could you do that? Because I want you to write and take notes on this script, okay? So I don't know if you open it up in Notability, what would someone do in this case? Huh? Doesn't matter. There's a doc and there's a PDF, whatever one works for you, okay? But you need to open it up in something, create a document with this that you can write on. Okay, does anyone know how to do that? Would you open up in Notability? I don't know. I don't know. Can you all do that though? Okay. All right. Okay, so let me just give you a little background information about Antigone, okay? So before we start reading this, well, it's downloading, okay? All right. I don't think you need to do anything else. So can you look over here at me after you've done that part? Okay, there's nothing else you need to open right now. So now's when I think you should pay attention, okay? All right, and I'm also recording these for the people that are absent and for you to look back on too. So Antigone, I'm gonna give you a little background information of that, okay? Of this play. She is a young teenager. She's probably about your age, all right? And she's got a pretty rough family history. So her father is a man called Oedipus, Oedipus. You don't need to know how to spell it, okay? Oedipus was her dad, and this is in ancient Greek times, okay? Oedipus was her father, and when he was a little tiny baby, when he was first born, his parents gave him up for adoption. I don't know why, okay? He grows up to be a bad warrior, and he meets this king, and he has a beef with the king, and he kind of falls in love with the king's wife too.
Sounds real nice,
right? This is kind of Jerry Springer stuff. He's in beef with the king, and he and the king fight. Ha, 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 ha. And Oedipus defeats the king. He kills the king, and then he gets to be with the queen. Ha, 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 ha. All right,
But
just wait. Oh, you don't want to be this king, honey.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, you don't want to be this king. So we got this. Are you with me? I hope you're looking at me. I don't know what you're looking at on your screen right now, okay? So Oedipus kills this king. He marries the queen. He gets together with the queen, and they have 4 children, right? 2 twin boys and 2 girls. And then he finds out, unbeknownst to him and unbeknownst to the king and unbeknownst to the queen, that the father and the mother who gave him up for adoption were the king and queen. Like he came along and killed his own dad, his own biological father. And then not only that, he got together and had 4 children with his very own mother. Right? Just process that for a minute. Process that for just a hot minute. Okay? This is not true. Yeah, we do wonder, like, would they have some kind of genetic anomaly or something? But this is a story. This is a story. Shh, Davis. Yeah, like I'm your dad and your brother. I'm your brother, dad. Okay, kind of bad, right? And imagine, David. Shh.
I feel like I heard this part that part of it was like they gave him up for adoption because it was like some weird prophecy that said he'd kill his dad.
Maybe I think you're probably right. There could have been a prophecy or a soothsayer. That could be another part of it, who said this child will end up killing the father and, you know, raping the mother or whatever. And so I think that's why that could be why they gave him up. I don't know the background, but I just know the dirty part.
That's accurate.
Yeah, I think it is. So they gave him up, and sure enough, he ends up innocent, finding them again, but not knowing this. He didn't know it was his daddy when he was killing him. He certainly didn't know that it was his mother when he was married to her and creating babies. Okay, so if that's not so Oedipus finds this out. His wife finds this out, and I think she kills herself. She's just like, what the heck? Okay, shh, stay with me. Stay with me, okay? Oedipus is like, holy God, this is, and remember at this time they're polytheistic, they believed in the gods, and he's like, somehow the gods have cursed me. Like, what a nightmare to kill your own father, to sleep with your own mother. This is not good. He's so afraid that his children are cursed. He's also so upset about everything. What does he do? He rips out his eyeballs. I'm not kidding. This is just made up story though. He rips out his eyeballs. I don't know why he went for that one. And just decides he's going to wander the world and leave himself vulnerable to wolves and creatures along his way. So he's out of the picture. Okay, so he's gone. Okay, and his children grow up in this city-state of Thebes. Okay, now, okay, I don't know what you're doing on your iPads right now. I really don't. I really don't. Okay, there's nothing to be doing on that. And if you are, then you're not paying attention, because this play is not going to be super easy to read. So I'm giving you this background information so you can understand what's going on. Okay, so they have two, so Oedipus has two sons, Eteocles and Polynices. And I'm trying to look at which one. Eteocles and Polynices, and they should be taking over Thebes. Remember, after a king dies in a monarchy, the next heir, the next person, takes over the city-state. Okay, so you have Eteocles and Polynices. These are tough names to remember. If you want to refer to them as Ed and Paul, if that helps you remember, that's fine. They're twins though. So who's going to rule the city-state? So somehow they figured out that, you know what, we'll let Eteocles run the city-state, be king for a couple of years, and then we'll let Polynices or Paul be the king for a couple of years and kind of trade off that way. Let's make it fair. Ismene, Antigone, the sister who's your age, and Ismene, the sister who's like 11 or 12, they're women, right? They have no power here, right? So Eteocles becomes the king and he's in charge. And guess what happens? His time comes up and he's like, hey, things are running smooth here in Thebes. I kind of want to stay king a little bit longer, like forever. And Polynices is like, hey, that's not fair. You can't do that. This is my rightful throne too. So what does Polynices do? He goes and gets together a rebel army, right? Gets this army together and they're going to take over and they're going to fight his brother and his brother's army in Thebes. So you've got the rebel army led by Polynices and Eteocles representing Thebes. And they fight, have this big war, right? Things are destroyed in Thebes, lives are lost. And finally, both brothers die. Both brothers die. Okay, on the battlefield. So who's going to rule Thebes? Well, they've got an uncle, Uncle Creon. And Uncle Creon is going to be the king now. And Uncle Creon's a little bit nervous. He's a little old-fashioned and he's a little bit nervous. He's like, hell, I'm stepping into this situation. Okay, we're still recovering from the whole Oedipus drama. All right, Now the sons were battling over who's going to be king. And there's that drama. And our city state is kind of weak now because we just had a civil war, right? I don't want another city state like Sparta, those animals coming by and trying to take over. So I've got to be a good leader here, and I've got to be firm, and I've got to make sure that we come together as a community. There's no more of this factions and divisive nature in our city state. And he's like, my first day on the job, I've got to be strong. It's all about my image. I've got to know what I'm doing. And he says, guess what, everybody? Eteocles, the king, was a patriot, and he should be buried. He should have an honorable burial. This was big for the Greeks at that time, to be buried. They thought your spirit would go to the gods, okay? But Polynices, that traitor, he's going to die out in the fields, and no one better bury him. I mean, nothing. He's bad. This one's good. We bury the good one. Excellent. That one out there, we want to discourage any other rebels coming in here. He stays out there to rot. This was a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't have their burial rites. They thought their souls would be like
Doomed.
damned to roam the earth forever.
Right. And also we've talked about a little bit that with the Native American community too, but like honoring them with a burial, they would feel like the Greeks would feel like this person would just be in purgatory, like this, never go to the gods, just be wandering in misery. So his sisters hear this, Antigone hears this, and like, again, she's your age. She's like, the hell with that. And he says, and if anyone does bury that person out there, death to them. They're going to be jailed, and they're going to be killed. They're going to be executed. Okay. Antigone hears this. She says, no, that's not right. What do I have to lose? My dad's dead. My mom's dead. My brothers are dead. This is messed up. And I don't care that you're the king. I don't care at all. This is wrong. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bury my brother. So what does the king do now? And everyone knows your niece, this 14-year-old kid, is defying your law. What are you going to do? Not to mention, to add more scandal to it, Antigone is also engaged to King Creon's son. Okay, so does he have his niece executed and his future daughter-in-law executed? What does he do to appear as a strong leader? Okay, so this is the course of the play. That's the setup. All right, what Miss Denton and I are going to read to you today is the prologue, but I just want to go over the cast of characters. So if we can just look at that really quick. So open up your cast of characters. And does anyone have any questions about this? Like, we'll go into this more detail, because eventually you're going to have to write a paper, and we're going to help you out with this. And I'm going to say, hey, this half of the room has got to say that Antigone is guilty of treason. She is guilty of breaking the law knowingly. The other half of the classroom is going to have to say, no, Antigone is not guilty of treason. And you're going to have to figure that out. So the character list, we've got Antigone. And it's hard. These names are crazy, right? She's the play's tragic heroine and namesake. In the first moments of the play, Antigone is set in opposition to her radiant sister Ismene, her little sister. Unlike her beautiful and docile sister, so docile means obedient, okay? Antigone is sallow and withdrawn, but she is very strong-willed and wildly courageous. Though she is not yet 20 years old, she believes in righteous action, and she's willing to defy authority and go to her death for her beliefs. So remember, we learned about conscience too. Ismene is beautiful, the good girl of the family. She's reasonable and understands her place, and she will bow to Creon's edict, Creon's rules, the king. And she's going to try to convince Antigone not to do this act of rebellion. Okay. She's a young girl, and she's like, my family has fallen apart, right? Dad's dead, mom's dead, my brothers are dead. Antigone, you might be executed for this. What's going to happen? Like, please, I'm really scared. And she just wants to have some order and stability. And they say she's Antigone's foil. She's kind of the opposite of Antigone. And she then eventually she says, you know what, I want to do this with you, and I want to join you in death. But even though Antigone refuses that, Ismene's conversion indicates how Antigone's resistance is contagious. Creon is the uncle. We'll just go through these kind of quickly. He's powerfully built, but he's a weary and wrinkled man suffering the burdens of being a ruler. He's practical, and he wants to distance himself from these aspirations of Oedipus's sons. His only interest is keeping political and social order after this horrible, bloody civil war. Okay, he really wants to just be simple, have good sense, and just make everything calm. So he really wants to clean up this mess. But Haman is Antigone's fiance. He's also Creon's son. He loves his family, but he also begs his father to have mercy with Antigone's life. And Creon refuses to listen to his son. So we wonder how that happens. Tiresias is going to be this blind soothsayer, an oracle, someone who can predict the future, kind of a holy man in Thebes. And he's going to try to advise Creon. And we're going to see if Creon will pay attention to him. Okay, the sentry is a guard. He's someone who keeps watch outside the walls of the city. And he kind of has to tell Creon what he saw, who he saw bearing. Oh, there's another messenger, they're saying that I think this is where he kind of like, again, passes messages on, and they've heard the expression, don't shoot the messenger. The chorus, remember the chorus is a group of people we talked about with Greek theater. They're kind of a narrator and a commentator. They carry the play along. So they might ask, they kind of are the go-between between the audience and the actors, okay? They might comment on some of the big points in the play and say, hey, did you understand that? Or they might ask Creon a question that the audience is longing to ask him, okay? And the choregos is the leader of the chorus in this play. And then there's Eurydice, that's Creon's wife, who's says her only function is to knit in her room until it's her time to die. And she ends up committing suicide. Like, this is all there, right? So we know it's a tragedy. Tragedy means what? Death. Tragedy means there's going to be a lot of dead people by the end of this play. We know that already, okay? You'll see these scene summaries here, and you can read those over if you want to, but we're not going to do it. I'll read the one now for the prologue. Antigone and Ismene meet privately so Antigone can tell Ismene something. Creon, their uncle, who is the new king, has issued a new law. In order to create peace in Thebes, that city-state, Creon has declared one brother, Eteocles, to be buried with honor, and the other, the traitor Polynices, under order of death, is to be left untouched, unburied, for the animals to tear his body apart. Antigone tells Ismene the news and asks what she will do. And Ismene says their family has had so many problems that she'll avoid conflict, because what else can she do? And she'll follow the law. Antigone disagrees and says because of her loyalty to her brother and her devotion to the gods, she will go honor her brother with burial rites. Ismene begs her not to, but Antigone says she's going anyway. Ismene tells her she won't tell anyone, to be careful, and she'll keep the information secret. And Antigone says she's doing the right thing, and she's not going to keep it a secret. Ismene tells Antigone she is impossibly stubborn, but she loves her and is worried about the consequences for Antigone, which could be death. Okay? Now, Miss Denton and I are going to read the prologue to you, and I'm going to show you something else here in Google Classroom. All right, so you will fill out this sheet. After we read it, we're going to go over it a little bit. Okay, so because you're going to need to have some understanding of this play. Okay, so what we're going to do after we read it, and we might stop meanwhile and go over some things, but every single scene will have a summary sheet. Okay, so there's the prologue summary. And you're going to summarize this scene in 3 to 4 sentences. So when you go back and write this paper, like, wait, when did Ismene say that Antigone shouldn't kill or bury the brother? You're going to write this, and again, in your language, so you understand it. And we're going to tell you how to do that after we read the prologue. So don't try doing this. The best thing you could do now is pay attention to while we're reading it and when I explain it. And then we're going to work on this summary together as a class. And then I've got MDM, I have to change that. We will stop the play and give you important background information. And we want you to write a minimum of 6 bullet points, because this is the information that's going to be handy for you to write your paper. Okay. You know how you write your topic sentence and you have to prove it? We're going to give you stuff to help prove it. Okay. So it's really critical that you pay attention to us while we're reading this, that you actively do these notes with us together so you can be successful with the final product. Then after you finish that, we're going to give you time to read your scene because each table has been assigned their own scene to do. And you're going to sit in front of the class on your day. I'm going to record it and you're going to read it. And Miss Denz and I will kind of say stop and interrupt and say, do you know what this means? Okay. You don't have to act it out. You don't need costumes or props. You're just going to sit up here, just like we're doing. Any questions about this? Any at all? Okay. So I would suggest you don't do your math. You open up the script to the prologue right now. Okay. Open up that script to the prologue and please, I would appreciate that. All right, now if I do this, it'll still film us, right? I know. Okay. Want to do this and hopefully they can still, it's still recording. All right, so you want a chair? All right, so, and it's okay if we're not in here.
Okay, I was gonna say.
All right, so I need you to follow along again. If you want to do this well, so you're not on your phones, you're not doing math, you're not doing anything like that. You're going to follow along with us with this prologue, and we might stop and explain some things to you, okay? But this is what you're going to be doing in the class. Now, you're not going to have to explain your scene to the class. That's where Miss Denson and I come in, okay? You're just going to read it. So this is Antigone. It's written in 441 BC by Sophocles. And they think Sophocles lived from about 496 BC to 406 BC. This is an English version by Dudley Fitz and Robert Fitzgerald. The people represented in this scene or this play, Antigone, or in this scene, I don't know. Antigone, Ismene, Creon, Haman, Tiresias, a sentry, a messenger, Chorus, Coragos, and Eurydice. Those are all the different characters in this play. All right, the scene opens. The place is a threshold at the palace of Creon, now king of Thebes. A platform extends the length of the facade of the theater, and away from this platform, 3 steps lead down into the orchestra. Remember that round circular area where the voices could carry, or the chorus ground. And the time is the dawn of the day after the civil war in Thebes, okay? It's the day after. When did the civil war end? When both those leaders of the 2 armies were killed, okay? Again, pretext, background. Oedipus, once the king of Thebes, is the father of Antigone and Ismene, and of their brothers Polynices and Eteocles. Tragically, Oedipus unwittingly kills his father, Laos, and marries his own mother, Iocaste. He was adopted as a baby, and he did not know his birth parents. Eek, when Oedipus comes to understand what he has done, he blinds himself and leaves Thebes forever lost. Eteocles and Polynices quarrel over who will ascend the throne, okay? And Polynices is driven out, but he returns with his army and an attack on Thebes. In this civil battle, each brother kills the other one as arch enemies. Creon becomes king and honors Eteocles with a hero's burial. So Eteocles was the one who was representing Thebes. He's the one who said, I will be the king, okay? Creon orders Polynices' corpse to be left to rot unburied on the battlefield because he is considered a traitor. And I just want to ask you this. Why do you think Creon chose to leave Polynices' body to rot? Why do you think he's doing that? Yeah, Nelly.
Because he was a traitor and tried to get like this rebel army to take down the kingdom and spell them.
Right. Okay. So he's going to side with the other brother, right? Because he doesn't want any other rebel armies coming around, right? Okay. Smarty. All right, the prologue. Antigone and Ismene enter the stage from the central double doors of the palace. And when you're doing your scene, you're going to have to read all these instructions too. All right, I'm Antigone. I'm big crabby sister. Miss Denzon's cute, sweet sister. Kind of, okay. Antigone. Ismene, dear sister, you would think that we had already suffered enough for the curse on Oedipus. I cannot imagine any grief that you and I have not gone through. And now, have they told you of the new decree of our king Creon?
I have heard nothing. I know that 2 sisters lost 2 brothers, a double death, in a single hour. And I know that the Argive army fled in the night. But beyond this, nothing.
I thought so. And that's why I wanted you to come out here with me. There is something we must do.
Why do you speak so strangely?
Listen, Ismene. Creon buried our brother Eteocles with military honors, gave him a soldier's funeral, and it was right that he should. But Polynices, he fought as bravely and died as miserably. But they say that Creon has sworn that no one shall bury him, no one mourned for him. His body must lie in the fields, a sweet treasure for carrion birds to find as they search for food. Ew, that's like a sweet treasure for vultures. Ick. That is what they say, and our good Creon is coming here to announce it publicly. And the penalty? Stoning to death in the public square. Remember the lottery book? Do we read that short story in here? Where people throw stones at you until you die? That's what they mean by stoning, not by smoking weed, okay? There it is, and now you can prove that you are what you are, a true sister or a traitor to your family.
That's kind of our central conflict here. Are you loyal to your family? Or are you loyal to your city, state / country here?
Exactly.
Antigone, you are mad. What could I possibly do?
You must decide whether you will help me or not.
I do not understand you. Help you in what?
Ismene, I am going to bury Polynices. Will you come?
Bury him? You have just said the new law forbids it.
He's my brother, and he's your brother too.
But think of the danger. Think what Creon will do.
Creon is not enough to stand in my way.
Ah, sister, Oedipus died, everyone hating him for what his own search brought to light, his eyes ripped out by his own hand, and Iocast died, his mother and wife at once. She twisted the cords that strangled her life, and our 2 brothers died, each killed by the other's sword, and we are left. But oh, Antigone, think how much more terrible than these our own deaths would be if we should go against Creon and do what he has forbidden. We are only women. We cannot fight with men, Antigone. The law is strong. We must give in to the law. In this thing and in worse. I beg the dead to forgive me, but I am helpless. I must yield to those in authority, and I think it is dangerous business to be always meddling.
If that is what you think, I should not want you, even if you asked to come. You've made your choice. You can be what you want to be. But I will bury him. And if I must die, I say that this crime is holy. I shall lie down with him in death, and I shall be as dear to him as he to me. It is the dead, not the living, who make the longest demands. We die forever. You may do as you like, since apparently the laws of the gods mean nothing to you. Ooh.
So we have another.
Yeah, they're getting salty.
They mean a great deal to me, but I have no strength to break the laws made for the public good.
That must be your excuse, I suppose. But as for me, I will bury the brother I love.
Antigone, I'm so afraid for you.
You need not be. You have yourself to consider after all.
But no one must hear of this. You must tell no one. I will keep it a secret, I promise.
Oh, tell it. Tell everyone. Think how they'll hate you when it all comes out, if they learn that you knew about it all the time.
So fiery. You should be cold with fear.
Perhaps, but I'm doing only what I must.
But can you do it? I say that you cannot.
Very well. When my strength gives out, I shall do no more.
Impossible things should not be tried at all.
Go away, Ismene. I shall be hating you soon, and the dead will too, for your words are hateful. Leave me my foolish plan. I am not afraid of the danger. If it means death, it will not be the worst of deaths, death without honor.
Go then, if you feel that you must. You were unwise, but a loyal friend indeed to those who love you.
And then Ismene exits into the palace, and Antigone is set in the center, and Antigone goes off to the left. Okay. All right. So let's look up this. Let's kind of do this summary thing. Okay. So pick up your summary. Right now, let's go to that prologue summary, and I'm going to give you some little helpful hints. Okay. So here we are. Oops, I gotta get this on here. Sorry about that. And I think it's really important that we do this together. Don't think you're going to do this at home. Like, it's not going to work. Okay. So let's do this together. And here we go. We have in that we've got Antigone prologue summary. So I want you to open that up right now, please. Okay. Now, let's work on this. Now, these summaries. Okay. Make sure you have it up. I want you to see all of these summaries for the scenes are worth 5 points. There's 7, listen up. There are 7 scenes and a prologue. So that's 8 times 5 is 40 points. These are due by the end of, we're going to work on them together and turn them in the day we do this part, we read it. So your prologue one is due today. Please listen to me, okay? It's due today in class. If you either turn it in on time or you don't turn it in at all. So if you wait until tomorrow, if you were in class here today, we're talking about it today, and you wait until tomorrow to turn it in, you lose the 5 points, okay? So you can either be present here, it's like for participation, and you do this and do it well, you get 5 points, okay? If you don't do these, that's 40 points you're missing, okay? That adds up, all right? They're not that hard to do and they're gonna help you, okay? So someone help me summarize this scene in 3 to 4 sentences. Someone tell me what's going on. Let's work on this together. John.
Well, the sisters are like fighting about whether like Chloe should be buried or not.
Okay, so the sisters are fighting about whether, let's call him, should we call him Paul? Maybe Polynesius. Sisters are fighting about whether Paul should be buried. Write it down. I guess I could write it down on here. Can I? Oh, I got to download it and do it. I'll find another one and do this too. Let me find this one. All right, so I'm going to do this. What do we say there, John? And we're going to work on this together. Like I said, the sisters are fighting about whether Paul should be buried. Sisters are fighting about whether Paul should be buried. Okay, what does Antigone think? Someone tell me, what does Antigone think? Yes, Emmy. She wants to bury him, even though there's risk of her being killed. Why? Why does she want to do it? Someone tell me what, someone else, Emmy, tell me why does she still feel like she's got to do it? She's going to risk getting killed. Yeah, Nellie.
It's like the law of the gods.
Because the gods want them to honor their dead, right? She doesn't want to anger the gods because she wants to do right by the gods and her brother. A burial is a big deal. Okay, right? She wants him to go to the gods and he can't without a burial. Let's say that, okay? All right, what does little sister Ismene think? Someone else answer this. You all heard it with them. Nellie's got it, he's paying attention, but someone else give me something. John, someone besides John and Nellie. Let's take action, people. What does Ismene say? She's like, hell yeah, go ahead, Max. Is afraid to break the law, and refuses to help bury Paul, right? Why? What's her reason? Why is she afraid to break the law? David? The risk isn't worth the reward. And why else? What is she afraid of, you guys? She's a rule follower, true, but what else is she afraid of? Yes, Nellie.
You're like afraid of losing your sister because she has already lost like her family member.
Mike, have you read this before? You're freaking genius. Yeah, she's afraid. She's already said like, hey, I lost all my family. I don't want to lose you too. She is feeling, she's grieving. She just lost her brothers and her father and her mother, and she doesn't want to lose anyone else. Okay, she wants calm, right? Sometimes you're gonna feel like that, like people, especially talking about COVID now, they're like, can we just have everything be back to normal? Just want to be back to normal. And that's kind of me, like, can we just be back to normal and just have things be regular? And then there are other people like, nothing's ever gonna be normal again. We're screwed, right? That's kind of how these two are. So it's maybe it's like, I've lost a lot of people. And again, she's maybe like 12 years old. Okay. I don't feel good about this and I'm nervous and I don't want to lose my sister. And her sister's like, fine, you coward. Because Antigone's pissed off. And they say she's under 20. She really is a teenager though. So I'm going to say, like, we're going to say that she's 15 years old. Okay. She's like, nope. And again, think of that teenage brain, people. Remember? She's like, this isn't right. So screw you, Creon. I'm doing what I got to do. And even to the point where her sister's like, hey, I'll keep it a secret. She won't tell anybody. What does Antigone say? Does she want her sister to keep it a secret? No, she's like, tell everybody. Hell yeah, call the press. That's fine. Tweet exactly. I don't care. I'm doing the right thing. That's how strongly she feels about this. She's not going to go sneaky. Don't tell anybody about my brother. She's like, screw you. This has to happen and I'm going to be the one to do it. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some bullet point ideas here. Okay. Of some facts. Are we okay? You do not have to write this down the same way I do. Okay. You write it in a way that you make sense. But the big takeaway, and again, there's a scene summary at the front of your script, but it's a little bit lengthy. And we want to like, okay, what's the meat here? What's the big deal here? So I'm going to give you some points. So we know, so remember, how about this for a bullet point? Is their family cursed because of Daddy O? Okay, that's a thing. Is their family cursed because of Oedipus? Like, are the gods mad at them because of Oedipus's wrongdoings? Those are pretty big no-nos, okay? Killing your dad and sleeping with your mom. Do you think that's angered the gods? And this is kind of the background. Are the gods cursing these children that came from this son-mother relationship? Okay, so that's one thing. And we don't have a lot for this one, okay? But one thing I want to go to is page 3. So it's at the bottom of page 3. So I'll put this on here too, okay? On page 3. And at the bottom of that, and I don't know if you want to underline it or whatever, I'll put a quote here. How about this? We're going to get better at this. We are only women. We cannot fight with men. That's Ismene saying that. Okay. At that time, remember, we talked a little bit about what was life like for women in Sparta and in Athens, and like, oh, maybe you could participate in a religious procession. But Ismene's like, hey, we're just girls here. We're just women. We can't fight with men. We shouldn't be doing this. Okay. This is a good quote to have down here, because if you're going to have to write the part of Antigone is guilty, you could say her sister advised her, as a woman, we need to stay out of these things. Now, maybe you don't believe that, right? But this is how you prepare your argument. Okay. So this could be one reason. All right. Also realize Sophocles was writing this. His point was to talk about the problems with monarchies, the problems with one person making some major decisions. Okay. The other thing that I want to tell you, another quote on here, and it's on page 5, is again, Ismene says, impossible things. Things should not be tried at all. What does Ismene mean by that? Someone give me a guess. What does it mean when she's saying impossible things should not be tried at all? Just take a stab at it. What do you think she means by that? Yeah, Emmy.
She's trying to like convince
Antigone.
that like she can't do it and like
Yeah, so she can't do it, and like maybe you shouldn't try to then.
yeah, like she's trying to get in her head and
Yeah.
say bad things.
So she could be trying to get in her head. I'll put this. Is she trying to get in Antigone's head? Is she telling her, don't bother trying? It's not going to work. Maybe she is. And one could say that is Manny kind of being defeatist in a way, but again, she's a young person. I kind of feel sorry for her in this scene too. She's like, and don't get on me. Like, I'm just a kid here and I'm losing everybody. And what the heck, you're trying to do this? Like, I don't feel comfortable about doing this. And her older sister's like, well, you're cowardly. Okay. But this whole thing too, but it is also sad. Like, hey, we're women. We shouldn't do this. Maybe we shouldn't try impossible things. Right. But then you think about those movies like Rocky and stuff like that. Like he's bound, he's going to lose. But no, he comes out and you still try, right? We love those kind of stories about people trying and getting out there and doing it. Okay. The last thing is that a point that I want you to remember too is Mene says she will keep it a secret. And Antigone is pretty bold and tells her to tell everyone. Right? Antigone knows what she's doing. If someone were to say, well, maybe she was grieving and not in her right mind and not understanding the punishment, this would be good evidence. Like, no, she knows. She knows she could get killed for this. She knows she's breaking a law. She full on says it. She even tells her sister, go ahead, tell everybody. I don't care. Okay. Because again, if we get to that part where we're saying Antigone is guilty, we might want to say, you know what, she knew what she was doing and she did it anyway, even if her sister warned her. Okay. So these are the notes I'm going to try to have you take for this. Okay. And again, then you can save this. And when you write your paper, we're going to think of reasons why she might be guilty, why she might be not guilty. And you'll know where to find this because of course you're going to have to throw in some quotes, right? Okay, this one, we don't really need 6 bullet points. I just put that down there, but this prologue is a lot shorter than the rest of your scenes. Okay, so now do you want to know what scenes you're doing? Sure you do. Okay, so I will come over here. So if we go back to classwork here, I forget having to do this zooming on. What scene are you reading in Antigone? So I would, once you finish that prologue summary, my sweet things, turn that baby in, turn it in, right? That's how you get your 5 points. Don't turn it in tomorrow, turn it in now. We did it now. Okay. All right. So now let's look at what scene you're reading in Antigone. And I also have them posted over here too. So this is your only homework for values right now is to read your scene ahead of time. So you can read it. So prologue, Miss Denson and I read, and we read it to the class today on Wednesday, January 5th for periods 3-4, period 5-6. Okay. So scene 1 is the community table. Wait, yeah, I'm actually supposed to be over here. Okay. Community table is scene 1. You're going to read this to the class tomorrow. Okay. Scene 2 is the Joe Emmy Kendre table. That's diversity. You're going to read that to the class tomorrow. All you have to do is come up and sit on some chairs up here and read it loud and proud to the class. Maybe put a little oomph in your voice. You don't have to get up and do any sword fighting or anything like that. Just like Miss Stenson and I did. We sat and we read it. Okay. I might stop. Hey, let me finish. I might stop it periodically and go, hey, you need this for your notes. Okay. So what I want you to do now, and then scene 3 is David, Bella, Jaden, Maggie, Audrey, and Eli. You're reading that to the class on January 7th. Scene 4, Cormac, B, ONG, Tristan, and Hope. You're reading to the class on Friday, January 7th. Scene 5, Ben, C, Maya, John, Yafet, Sabrina, Finney, Wednesday, January 12th. Scene 6, Jimmy, Elena, Garrett, Elena, Mikey, Wednesday, January 12th. And then scene, stop talking for a second. Scene 7, 3-4, you're reading that on Thursday, January 13th, and that's Nellie, Maddie, Davis, Sam, and Stella. So what I want you to do right now is with your table, go sit with your table, look at your scene, and figure out who's going to read which part. Now, say it's Creon, and he's got a hell of a lot of lines in there. You can divide it up, and you can say, I'll read one page of Creon, you read the next page of Creon, and divide it up that way. Remember, the chorus is usually more than one person. The choiragos is the head of the chorus. You read the scene directions, and everyone in your group must read. We will give you participation points for that. You must read. If you're nervous about it and you don't know the names, we'll help you. Yes, Maria. Sabrina, sorry.
That's not my table.
Wait, what?
I don't sit at that table.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay.
She's on scene 7. 'cause they
All
don't
right.
show us.
Did I move something around again? Okay. So we'll put sit, do with your table. Do with your table. Okay. I'm sorry. So your table, so but right on yours, what day you're doing it. Okay. I'm sorry. I messed up with that. I think we did some trading. I think because we had someone missing, we did some trading about. I'm so sorry. Does everyone else recognize? Shh, look over the list. You have it. Look over the list. Make sure I've got you at the right table. All right. Now what I want you to do is sit with your table, try to read this over and decide who's going to read which part. You're not going to have time to do that tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to come in. We're going to set the stage for you and we're going to listen to scene 2 and do the scene summary together. And then we're going to listen, scene 1 and then scene 2. Are we clear? And anyone have any questions? All right, figure out who's going to read what. Sit together, practice. And that's it. Make sure you email me with any questions, everybody.